because our deepest wounds often reveal our greatest purpose. Welcome to the Court of Connection. I'm super excited to have Alexander here today. This is my first live recording, and I actually just saw some of his reels on TikTok and felt very moved by his message. And I was like, this is a man who is walking the embodied truth. This is an awakened man who understands the truth. And your messages just hit home for me, and I kept watching them. And there was 2 times in silent meditation where I got the pull to ask you to be on the podcast. Yeah. And in my mind, right, the ego comes up and is like, what? He doesn't even know you, you know? And I'm like, no. We're going to listen. So I'm really excited to have you here. Just why don't you start by telling us a little bit about who you are? Because I don't know.
Absolutely. Well, I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful that you reached out. I'm grateful that we could connect. So I'm excited for this conversation. But I'm Alexander Dwayne, right? So I live in Dallas, Texas right now. I think I've been doing content for maybe 2 years, and the message has evolved. But I always knew that I wanted to get to this point. We're just talking about I am awareness and calling people into higher levels of consciousness and into the knowing of who they are. So I guess within a nutshell, that's basically me.
I love that. I'm actually from Dallas.
Oh, really?
Austin. Yeah. I grew up in Dallas, but I'm in Austin now.
Gotcha.
So this is my stomping ground.
You betrayed Dallas for Austin.
I did. I had to go. Dallas was like, girl, you painted the town red. It's time to go. All right. So before we begin, why don't you tell us something that is bringing you joy currently in your life?
So this is going to be a specific story, but this is something that I've been leaning on for the last probably 2 years. So my mother, about 2.5 years ago, she was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, right? Mm-hmm. She was only supposed to have a couple months left to live. But fortunately, seeing her as perfect, the perfect unfolding of events has happened. And about a week and a half ago, we found out she's completely cancer-free now, right? The beginning of the journey, she had a 5-inch tumor in her lungs, and now she has absolutely nothing. So that's something that I can constantly lean on. But I mean, even outside of that, right, it's just what I truly lean on to know, just to be grateful is the fact that God is within me, right? That's really the only thing that I truly need to bring me fulfillment. And with that, the paradox is that everything comes with it. So
that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So tell me, so you wrote a book called The Modern Warrior. You're also a coach. I did a little research. Tell us about, so I read the first few pages and I was like, this is really cool because this is the feminine journey that I'm on, right? And feeling very called to heal the feminine and the masculine within us is the only way that we're going to rise, right? It's the only way we're going to receive fully. So you're not just born with this messaging. So tell me, like, what led you to this work? How did you end up on this path?
Absolutely. So heartbreak for one. So I've had very interesting relationships, but I could honestly tell you that even when I say heartbreak, there was not a singular moment that woke me up to this. I was in a fire in 2014. So when I was in a fire, I was in the hospital. I was getting pumped with oxygen. I was in the hyperbaric chamber. And when I was in that hospital, I started having memories. I started recalling, memories I had forgotten as a child, visions I used to have and entities I used to have around me. Mm-hmm. So that simply led me down a journey of seeking knowledge. The knowledge, I wouldn't even say the knowledge at that point was for self-improvement. It was more so an ego desire just to get more information. That led me to some relationships that I mishandled, right? And that kind of the self-analysis of, okay, you can get all this information, but what are you actually doing to improve your life with it, right? And so I had some financial issues that I had to find my way out of. I had some relationship issues that I had to transcend. And so all that led me down the journey. So it was really a perfect storm. I couldn't pinpoint one thing, but it was just this constant looking within myself, this constant looking at, okay, if my life is my mirror, right? And all these relationships are taking the same turn. The financial situations, it's constantly showing up in my face. What is it within myself that I need to work through to actually transcend these things? So that was the path. It was simply just the path of accountability in my own life. So I was tired of making the same mistakes.
Yes. Yeah, so many of us, live in this world where we think the problem is outside of us, right? And the problem is the old belief systems, the old beliefs that we've been conditioned by through society, through family, through trauma, through all of these things. And we begin to see through that lens, right? Yeah. And, mine is similar, right? There's all these little moments that led to this, where we're sitting right now. But the deep realization that every person in your life, in my life, is there to mirror the parts of me that need healing, right? Like you mentioned. Exactly. They are, and it's a beautiful gift. They're not the enemy. They're there to help us.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. It's one of the things that I've been talking about a lot lately, that you just reminded me of, is when we are constantly looking at relationships and looking at things in the external and saying, okay, what can I extract from this, right? Mm-hmm. It really keeps us from truly evolving. But when we step into that mindset that you just mentioned, that everybody is this divine mirror, mm-hmm. and they're simply pointing back at different parts of you, right? Now you can grow, right? And I think even what's helped me to stay in that mindset of seeing everybody as this mirror is going from, I think when I was looking at things from just the lens of love, it was like, okay, well, yeah, I love you and you're my mirror. But then going and saying, all right, well, I'm going to look at you with the devotion that when I step in front of you, I'm stepping in front of God, right? I'm at the altar of God because God is within you. And you're simply mirroring back all of these parts of me. And so now my duty, the way that I honor the God within you, the God within myself, is I transcend. I see you as perfect. I see you as whole. I see myself as perfect. And we can both kind of transcend the stage that we're on at that time.
Mm-hmm. That's so beautiful. Yeah. So beautiful. And it's so true, because what that made me think about was the ego comes from a place of lack, attachment, or control, right? Those are the three areas that the ego is operating in. And when I am in this place of lack, this is a practice that I've been doing lately that immediately shifts you into something different, is identifying what's coming up, right? A fear is coming up, something's coming up that is disturbing me. And I can identify, oh, this is lack. And the very answer to the lack problem is to give that thing that you think you are lacking out. Give it out.
Yeah.
Give it away. Give it either to the person you're in front of or the crowd that you're in, whatever. You give the thing that you think you're lacking away, and all of a sudden I'm not lacking.
That's interesting. Mm-hmm. Why do you believe that is, right? Because that's a very powerful practice. So why do you think that allows you to release that lack in that moment?
That's a great question. I really don't know the answer. I'll just tell you this too. I'm in long-term recovery. I've been sober for 10 years. And so I, in the 12-step work, which kind of laid the foundation for my spiritual journey, when we are in self, when we are consumed with self, the answer is to go be of service, right? Mm-hmm. Which is the same thing, right? It's like, wait, you're telling me to go be of service when I have a real problem here. And it's like, no. I don't know. It's turning your thoughts to someone else, I think, is essentially why that works, right? I'm getting out of me and into you, right?
Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. It's that honoring someone else allows you to, I think even because where I was going with it was, I wanted to hear your perspective, but it's almost as if I'm giving myself permission to see others as needing me, to see others as God, to see others as a place for me to worship or to pour my energy into, so that we both can get better anyway. Right? Mm-hmm. is taking the consciousness just off of yourself and putting it, I guess, on the greater good.
Yeah. Because the ego just wants you to be obsessed with yourself. The ego wants you to feel stuck in self and, all of those things. And so it does make sense that the answer is to get out of yourself, whatever that is, give it away, be of service. So
Yeah.
So tell me about the book. I actually wanted to read a little part of it, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. That's cool.
Yeah. So there's this part in the beginning, and it says it's just setting the tone for what the book, offers. And it says, each chapter of this book will dismantle the myths that keep men weak and disempowered. We will discuss the dangers of giving too much without replenishing, the art of controlling one's own energy, and the necessity of having a vision that supersedes temporary pleasures. You will learn how to navigate relationships without losing yourself, how to protect your masculine essence, and how to build a life that aligns with your deepest purpose.
Yeah.
Yes, so good. So yeah, can you unpack that a little bit for me?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. When I first got into this space, I was doing a lot of relationship coaching. And the thing that I always noticed, or one of the common denominators that I seem to notice a lot, I can't say always, but I noticed it a lot, was so many men that I worked with, part of the healing of the masculine that they needed to do was getting over this need to receive all of their validation from the external world. And I know this is a thing that this is common to the human experience, right? We're young and our parents say, no, this is what you need to do to be accepted, right? This makes you a good girl or a good boy. Then the school says you're a good reader. All right, let's give you a sticker. You get a good grade. Let's congratulate you. Then the workforce does the same thing. We'll give you a raise. We'll give you a bonus, a job title, right? Even the church tells you, you do these things, you tithe, you baptize, all of these things, et cetera, right? And so then we step into these relationships, and a lot of these men are told, okay, well, your worth is based on what you can give, right? A man is a provider, a protector. Absolutely, right? That is part of that masculine essence. However, when you're trying to pour from an empty cup, if you need someone to congratulate you or validate you, and that's the only way that you can derive a sense of purpose, well, then you'll always be at the end of somebody's string. They'll just be able to pull you around. You'll be easy to control. And you'll never truly find fulfillment, because you cannot find fulfillment simply out there. You cannot tie your sense of self-worth to other people saying thank you or congratulations, right? Mm-hmm. So it was shifting this, I need to be a good man for a woman, a good man for a family. Well, let's really break this down. You need to be a good man, period. Mm-hmm. And then everybody benefits from that. Mm-hmm. So it was healing that masculine part of you that thinks that your sense of self-worth is derived from the outside world, right? Like, how do we recenter you into yourself? How do we give you a sense of purpose within yourself? How do we give you a solid spiritual core, right? How could we allow you to walk into the world and know your worth? So you're pouring from an overflowing cup, mm-hmm. instead of simply walking around with an empty cup and trying to get people to pour into you, right? Mm-hmm. That's the path that leads a lot of men to bitterness. Is, well, women are like this, women like that. Well, that's not true, right? But if you perceive life that way, if that is your perspective, then that's all you're going to be able to attract. That's all that's going to show up in your life. So how do we build you up so that you can actually be a good man for yourself first, and then for everybody else just as a byproduct? So that was the core message.
Mm. Yeah, and that there's so much there I want to speak on. Mm-hmm. What you mentioned is, like, we are all vessels, right? And if I am, like you said, pouring from an empty cup, giving, getting my worth outside of myself, and I don't feel that way, I absolutely am going to vibrate at that level, right? Mm-hmm. And I can only attract at the level that I'm at. And that was like a hard truth for me along the way, right? Where it was like, early on in my, relationship life, it was like, before I woke up, I'm like, he's the problem. And it's like, you attracted him. You know what I mean? Like, you attract at the level that you're at. But I've also experienced myself and watched it in other people where they do all this work and they, chip away at this, tapping into their true worthiness, and they attract the thing into their life, yet they haven't actually done the work to hold it. So now I've attracted this thing into my life, whether it's a business, whether it's a relationship, whether it's, whatever it is. And then I run it off or I lose it because I don't have the vessel strong enough to hold it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. And I love what you say, right? Because even that, right? We do this work just to get something out there, thinking that the fulfillment is out there. When it's not, right? It's the remembrance that you are the fulfillment. It's the remembrance that sources within you, that you are the walking expression of the divine, right? Which means you are naturally the identity of fulfillment. You are the walking wish fulfilled, right? So when you reframe it, you start to build yourself up, right? And now everything that comes into your life is simply a cherry on top, which is the paradox, right? When you build yourself up simply from knowing myself as source, now all of a sudden everything that I get, it comes to me easier, but it's just a cherry on top of who I already am.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so many people can't be alone. They don't even know how to be alone and I'm like, I love being alone, know? Right. And then the extreme part of that is I do better on my own. And it's yeah, girl, you want somebody mirroring your shit. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I don't do that anymore, but I love I love hanging out by myself. If you don't love hanging out by yourself, you need to look at that.
Yeah. It's the only person you're going to be with forever. Oh, go ahead.
Yes. I'm a hoop.
Right. I'm the funniest person I know. Or you
that's right. Yeah. I entertain myself all day long. So, how did your own journey with personal power and discipline evolve before you became a coach? You spoke on it a little bit, but what really drew you into the coaching world? Because I'll say this too. I am a firm believer that everybody needs some sort of mentor, at least for the first part of your journey. I having a mentor has been life-changing for me. So
yeah. No, I agree. I agree with you. I think what drew me into coaching, I never had the desire, but as I started to get deeper and deeper on this path that I'm still on, I ended up just having conversations with all of my friends. Anytime I met someone, I might think that I'm going out on a date. I just meet somebody. We ended up in a full therapy session where I'm talking about her deepest fears, and you know what I'm saying? We're crying at the end of it and stuff. It's it always ended up that way because that's just the way that I like to connect with people. So I was talking to one of my homegirls one day. She was just she used to always send me videos and say, "Oh, what's your opinion on this? What's your opinion on that?" And I would just break it down to her and we'd have long conversations. She said, "Why don't you just start doing this? Why don't you just start speaking?" I was like, "Okay, cool." And I made a commitment that I was going to do a video every day for 3 months. I was like, "Oh, I'm going to see what happens." The end of 3 months, nothing happened. But I just decided to keep doing it because I liked it. And when people were reaching out, asking questions, it just got to a point where I said, you know what? I might as well start setting up time to talk with people. And even at that, how it got into that was in the beginning, I had no niche. I was talking about relationships. I was talking about spiritual concepts, esoteric, occult knowledge. I was talking about all kinds of things. But as I started taking on clients, I started niching it into, all right, let's get into kind of manifesting. Let's get into your I am awareness. Let's get into the knowing of who you are. And so it simply took me doing and being to allow it to evolve. So I did not intend to be here, but I'm grateful. It feels like it's part of it. I couldn't see myself not doing.
I love that. You said you've been coaching for 2 years?
Yeah, about 2 years. I've been doing content for two and a half years. But I've been coaching probably the most for the whole time. Yeah.
I love it. That's awesome. Do you know what your rising sign is? Do you know anything about your astrology?
Is that the right?
Ascending? It's okay.
I know I'm a Scorpio. I know that.
Okay, so his sign is Scorpio. Yeah.
So I'm like, I was born in Nigeria, so I don't have the exact stuff anyway because of the records. So I always run into this issue when I'm dealing with
Yeah.
when I'm dealing with people. They're like, hey, what's your date of birth? I'm like, look, I think it's this, but
Yeah.
it's October 23rd. But beyond that, like time and all, I couldn't tell you.
Oh, your birthday's almost here. Happy early birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have strong Scorpio in my I have Scorpio moon, meaning that's how I feel internally, you know.
Gotcha.
And the reason I ask is because Scorpios actually have a very deep intuitive, just a natural intuitive power.
Yeah.
And we're all intuitives, but there's something very mystical about, you know, being ruled by the moon and you know, so a lot of Scorpios I meet are they naturally coach. That's just kind of their energy, you know? So
Yeah.
that's
I
what
know,
made me
like,
ask.
even with like the 12, is it 12 or 7? Even with the pillars of Scorpio, right? Like the highest pillar is the shaman path, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
I know a little bit about sun. I know.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Esoteric is my language.
Yeah.
So how does conscious masculinity show up in romantic relationships or partnership?
It shows up in so many different ways. So all right, I'm not gonna give a superficial answer. I'm gonna take my time with this answer.
There you go.
The most important thing as men that we can give ourselves and then give our partner in our journey is presence. Right. The presence of masculinity is the presence that is then able to protect, is then able to provide, it's then able to show up, it's able to cut through illusions, right? It's able to be firm, be sound, be a voice of reason in the relationship, right? So presence is going to be number one. And that's why it's very important as men that we can meet ourselves with presence. You cannot be emotionally grounded with someone else if you're not emotionally grounded with yourself. You can't sit down in the fire, right, of a disagreement with someone if you cannot sit down in that fire with yourself. So conscious masculinity first starts off with that self-work. And then that self-work simply trickles out into every relationship you have. It trickles out into the relationship you have with your woman, relationship which you have with your parents, relationship you have with your children, with everyone, right? It is allowing yourself to be that present see in the relationship. So that's I believe that is the number one, kind of the highest part of masculinity, of how it shows up in relationships.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, you spoke on this a little bit, but like the masculine creates a safe, consistent, reliable container for the feminine to be able to drop in to her natural state, which is you know, feeling safe in her body, right? Nurturing. That is the essence of the feminine. And so when a man does the work and is a safe like a trusting container, then a woman can drop in easily, you know? And do what women do, which is, you know, all the opposite ends of the masculine that really just make a man better and vice versa, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And in order for a man to even meet the feminine there, right, we have to meet the feminine within ourselves. So it even goes back to allowing a woman to be comfortable with expressing herself, right? Well, am I comfortable with expressing myself? I might meet a woman and her emotions, the way she can express her emotions is like a 128 crayon box.
Yeah.
Can I meet her if I only have 3 crayons, right? If I only have 3 colors. So it's about knowing myself as well, knowing that feminine part. Like the first marriage is the marriage of the feminine and the masculine within all of us. And then we walk into these relationships and it's simply an out picturing of the work that we've already done. But you're absolutely right. When I meet the feminine within me fully with compassion, when I meet that part of me that wants to be impulsive, that part of me that wants to simply be free. Well, when I meet that part of me and I don't simply suppress it, but I honor it, now I can actually honor that part of my woman, right? when I honor that part of her, I give her the freedom to actually honor my masculinity. It's this divine dance that we're doing internally and then externally as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Yeah, and that's where it gets confusing for I think men as a collective, right? And what you talked about in your book is that, there's this narrative that I have to be this and go hard and provide and be strong and all those things. And honestly, that feminine part of the man feels like that I'm not allowed, or that it's what's the word I'm looking for? Like that's weak.
Yeah.
Tapped into that part, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you get in relationship and a woman really they want that. We want that in a man. Like for you to be able to be in tune with your emotions and all of those things, right? It's not weak, it's power, really.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll even add to that, right? It's powerful when you can meet those emotions powerfully, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I'm not ruled by them, but I own them and I honor them. I honor the way that I feel. I honor the way that I desire to express my emotions. I honor giving myself the safety, the permission to be vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not I'm not simply. So there is this interesting journey that I've seen a lot of men go on, where when they don't meet that feminine within themselves fully, right, and they simply try to express the pure masculine part of them, they don't cultivate the feminine. It's just lead and provide and protect, and it's just now they're walking into a relationship and they're expecting to cultivate that directly with this woman. And sometimes that can lead to allowing their emotions to lead them a little bit too much, right? Kind of getting out of control when it comes to their emotions because a situation doesn't make them feel good, right? All of those are simply alarms that should be going off within us to say, okay, well, maybe if I feel out of control, maybe there are parts within me that I have not met fully yet. Right? Because when we don't meet that feminine part of us fully and we just allow it to run us, we cannot cultivate the proper balance in our relationship that actually allows it to thrive and grow.
Yeah. What would you say, if you care to share, were your biggest relationship setbacks until you did this work? Like what was the pattern that continued to show up that created pain within the relationship?
Okay, let me say which ones?
You can
lack of communication was the number one thing, right? It was constantly keeping the shell on and believing that I could not express myself at all, right? Something went on at the job, something went on in my family. I did not want to express it, right? But then when I started going into the communication, it was the overexpressing, meaning I'm simply using this woman as a means to vent. I have no desire to fix anything. I'm just sitting around. I'm just venting to her. So it was the balancing of the communication. All right. Yes, I can bring things to my woman. That's no problem, right? It's my woman. I can share whatever with her, right? But am I doing it simply from a place to dump on her? Or am I doing it as a heads up because, I'm just going to give you a heads up. Maybe you can give me some insight on this and I still can move forward and handle my day-to-day tasks. So I think communication was number one for me. It was finding that balance and being able to emotionally regulate myself. And I think a lot of the other problems really stemmed from communication. It was definitely number one.
Yeah. Yeah. The reason I ask is I think it's important for people to hear, right? Like the biggest issues that I found in relationships that I had to really look at, because that what you said earlier was, man, I was met with myself and I was like, this is not I need to rise. Like these patterns continue to show up in my life and they're not working for me, right? And similarly, like mine were poor boundaries. Mine were lack of communication. Mine were, conditioning, behaviors that I've had since I was a little girl, right?
Wow.
They don't work anymore. They don't work. I leave people feeling confused. They don't understand what's going on. I'm expecting people to just match my energy. You can't read that I'm not in that space today, or you can't, just assuming that people should read my mind and know what I need at all times. Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And so learning how to, that's the part of the divine feminine that's so important too, is that I'm not walking around just letting people bulldoze over my boundaries, right? That I'm not walking around expecting people to understand where I'm coming from at all times, right? I have to become an effective communicator, and there's so much power in that. And people are scared,
Yeah, absolutely.
So scared to rock the boat. And so, yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, and that's where the growth happens. The growth happens in the contrast. If you're not able to walk into that contrast with an open heart and know that, so even in those conflicts, right, when you're able to speak your mind or speak a boundary or have those difficult conversations, from my perspective, I believe that's where intimacy grows. Because you have those two primary roles, right? You have the person who is initiating, and you have to remember, okay, well, I have to set the stage where that it's me and you versus whatever issue, right? But even if I'm receiving, I have to be, okay, well, it's this person is bringing something that's important to me. Now it's me versus my discomfort as well. Right? Am I going to just immediately jump in and say, well, that's not even what I was intending to do? Well, that can wait, right? Right now, I can help you get whatever is off your mind, right? We can walk through this situation together, knowing that both of us love each other. We care about each other. We're simply trying to work to build deeper intimacy. And when we shift our perspective and go from always perceiving things as being attacked to knowing that, no, okay, this is a person that cares about me. Every situation that we go through can simply be a stepping stone to a greater level of connection and intimacy and all those things, right? I think that is where a big shift happens. And even when I talk about communication, that's one of the things I had to learn as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you have a coach, or how did you start to implement these things? Was it just divine knowledge and it was okay, I need to practice this in my relationships in real time? Or
honestly, I when I admit it, I've never had a coach, to be honest. I've never had a coach. I had the closest I had to a coach, I had an older guy that I used to work with when I was working in tech. And I met him whenever I was in that fire in 2014. I was in a fire, and he gave me an opportunity to get a job, and he became basically my mentor. He was an older guy who was into philosophy. He talked real slow, but he gave me a lot of on women. Because even at that time, I was dealing with a woman, but he put me on game. So I think if it was anyone, it was him. But then also, sure, my father, right? So, and my father taught me directly, but he also taught me indirectly because my parents Nigerian, very, very culturally in their ways, right? So I'm night and day compared to them. Our personalities, but it's only because of me actually making these conscious choices that I don't have to have a relationship like that. I don't have to communicate like that, right? I can be different. It works for them. I don't want it to work for me. I don't want to go down that path. And absolutely fine. So it was studying the people around
me. Yeah. Can you describe what those experiences were like walking through the fear in moments where it's okay, I'm going to practice being a better communicator in this moment, or I'm going to practice, restraint, or,
Yeah, absolutely. I think change was very, very difficult for me. It took bravery, but okay, so if I walk through kind of trying to switch my communication with some of the early relationships I was in, there was a lot of stumbling over words. There was a lot of pausing, but the one thing that I would constantly just remind myself is, people are going to meet me, where I meet myself. And if I'm open enough to meet myself fully, they're going to meet me. So when I was opening up, I didn't really have issues with women being against it.
Mm.
Seemed like all the women were kind of, it was a welcome thing. Like, hold up, you want to talk to me about what? So that was never the issue. I think it was just getting more and more comfortable over time, sharing more things, to the point now where, shoot, I'm pretty damn unfiltered. So it was just gradually giving myself the grace to do it. Right. Initially, it might simply be sharing one sentence of what happened at work.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was asking myself these questions like, okay, right now you're feeling this way. Do you simply want to speak about it to speak? Well, in that case, let me really think about this, because what has she went through? Was she just venting to me? Okay, do I want to really bring this up now, or do I want to allow her to have her time? Is this necessary right now? So it was evolving in a way where not only am I always being mindful of myself, I'm being mindful of my partner, which actually allowed me to feel very much in control of the situation. It was like I was always playing chess, right? Which gave me a sense of power, a sense of like, okay, I'm doing something. Like, I'm looking out for you while also looking out for me. So that constant evolution, it happened over time.
Mm-hmm.
And even in those situations, I've had instances where I've dealt with, one woman exclusively, but even in those times where I was dealing with multiple women, it was even me walking into my truth and actually meeting women who were okay with me doing whatever, with me being open with them in that way.
Yeah.
But so could I have done that by living a lie?
Right.
I could have, but I would have hurt people, hurt myself, right? So it was having a sense of control over myself, right? Actually speaking my truth, actually watching out for people, and then even evolving again. Just because she says she's okay with it doesn't really mean she's okay with it.
Right.
Maybe not, right? So it was starting to develop my intuition around a lot of things.
Yeah. That's essentially just becoming more awake and aware, right? And like being, we live in this world where it's thought react, right? We're always like quick to do or say something or whatever so quickly, and if we can just slow things down, we have a lot more power than we think, right? I don't have to react to that text message. I don't have to. There's a pause that happens, and I have a choice. What do I actually want to do in this moment? Which is what you were saying, and that happens by like growing that muscle. It doesn't happen overnight.
Precisely.
Yeah. So tell me about your what practices you have, like what keeps you grounded? Do you have like a meditation practice? Is there a certain like spiritual teaching that you're drawn to?
These days, no. I mean, I meditate daily, but even in my teachings now, I've got to the point where I don't push any kind of spiritual practice. I think whatever you feel drawn to, you can do, right? But I love meditating because it allows me to remind myself of who I am. And I've done meditation for different purposes, sometimes for trying to visualize things, or other times simply trying to do nothing. But these days, I simply go into meditation, open to receive whatever. If it's just quiet time, if it's just relaxation, if I'm blessed with some kind of information, I'm open to it. But that's my primary spiritual practice. But I do believe that every moment of my day is a spiritual practice, because these days, my main message, I've kind of even went away from relationship coaching. It's more so about the I am awareness. It's simply walking around all day with that knowing, with that unwavering knowing that you are source, right? That you are one with the divine, and allowing that to bleed into everything in your life. And so when I walk like that, everything becomes a sacrament. Everything becomes a prayer. When we're on this we're on this podcast, right? Just looking at you and knowing that you are also the divine, right? So even this is a moment of worshiping the God within you, right?
Mm.
And vice versa. So it's always everything becomes a prayer. Eating becomes a prayer. So I say that my spiritual practice is simply my presence.
Yeah. And that's all there is. That's the crazy part. That's what all of the teachings, all religion is pointing you to anyways.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm,
That's it.
yeah. So meditation, I meditate daily. It's evolved in so many different ways. What a teaching or that has been really grounding for me lately is Kabbalistic teachings. I don't subscribe to any one, type of spiritual practice, but
Yeah.
like Kabbalistic teachings are basically like all that there is, right? Um, and this idea that we all come down and we reincarnate, right, in these relationships in our life we've chosen before we came down here, and like they're
Yeah.
just there to like open up these wounds that I didn't heal in the last lifetime,
Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of the journey I'm on. But meditation and presence really is probably the biggest part of my like daily life.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, I feel like all religions, all these spiritual practices are simply a different perspective of the infinite, right?
Yeah.
One of them could never sum it up. It would be like trying to place the infinite in a single cup, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any like teachers or people that you draw inspiration from?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Not really older people anymore. So I did love the work of Eckhart Tolle, right? The Power of Now was a book that really changed my life. Um, Neville Goddard, love Neville Goddard when it comes to
Mm.
reality creation. Um, Meister Eckhart, one of the older kind of mystics, love his teachings. But these days, I still read certain books, but there wouldn't even be, I guess, big names. I like the work of Tom Caron a lot. He's trying to be something wonderful. He talks about I am awareness. I like a YouTuber named Joseph Rodriguez. He
Mm.
talks about and the power of now, uh, detachment, flow state.
Mm.
That's really the work that I'm in these days, and what I'm drawn to is presence and enjoying every moment and allowing the presence of God to just spill out into your life. Right? That's what I want.
Yeah, can you walk us through like how do you use I am consciousness and you said flow state?
Yeah, flow state.
How do you use those practices when you meet your ego meets adversity throughout the day? Like walk me through that.
Absolutely. All right, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, got me excited, man. So,
Yeah, well,
so,
yeah, let's hear it.
so at this point, right, I don't really identify with the ego, right?
Mm.
So, at a point in my journey, I was constantly trying to fight it into submission, but the ego's always asking questions. It's always showing up. But the more that I simply allowed myself to be, right, to be present, that voice is pretty quiet. To now, I rarely have just opposite thoughts. I rarely have my mind chatter is very, very quiet. My
Mm.
mind is very quiet. So it was simply the realization that I've never lived in the past.
Mm.
I'll never live in the future. I've only ever lived right now. Every single time I was in love, it was right now. Every single time that I was heartbroken, didn't know what to do, it was right now. Every gift that I've received in my life was right now. And the scripture that I lean on is to those who have, more will be given. To those who have not, even what they have will be taken away. And that's simply that reminder that you can only have what you have in this present moment.
Mm.
And I'll give an example, and I kind of go to how I do it day to day. But these days, a lot of people will come to me to manifest things, right? It might be a person, it might be money. But one of the common examples where the power of being present or being in flow state just helps us is that there's a time in our journey in love where we might meet someone. And then there's this moment where you see this person, you say, I could spend the rest of my life with you. And then you look at them and you feel the same way. You say, okay, well, I believe that you think that you could spend the rest of your life with me as well. And we are completely caught up in that present moment. And every moment with them feels like magic, right? When you're not with them, you're thinking about them. Like life feels sweeter. The air even tastes better. But then we either get caught in the past or caught in the future. Let's say that whatever happens, we perceive something is happening, okay? Or we think of a past situation that they've reminded us of. And our mind's constantly being pulled into that past. So we're thinking of what they did or what someone else did or what they might have done, right? And instead of our focus being on this person, on the perfection that they are right now, it's constantly in the past. Or we're thinking about what they could have done in the future, what they could do in the future, what they're going to do when they leave us, right? And so instead of enjoying this gift and using this time to actually enjoy the person in front of us, our mind is always pulled into the past or into the future. And so we can't have it. So eventually that leaves us because what we don't have, we lose. So then we'll go on this journey of trying to choose this reality, right? Choose a different person or choose to have a good relationship with this person. And we're still constantly drawn to trying to fix something in the past that we perceive as less than perfect. So I wish that I could change this. And then we're thinking of this future that seems unobtainable. It's way out there. It's far away from us, right? And we're still not in the present moment. So now we can't even cultivate what is in front of us. So not being in the present moment, it allows things to just slip through our hands, right? We don't actually see things as the blessings they are. And when you actually allow yourself or give yourself permission to see things as God, to see people as perfect, those are the people that stay. That those are the relationships that grow. When we're constantly trying to search for flaws and looking at the past and looking at the future, those are the things that end up leaving us because we don't have them. And so energetically, they must run away. So that's the power of being in the now moment. What practice looks like is simply enjoying life, right? Seeing the perfection of life. It's going from this mindset of always doing to simply being, right? It's what if there's not a future version of you that's more perfect than right now? What if you're already absolutely perfect? You're just looking at yourself from the wrong lens. What if every version of you, the past version, your past life, future life, all of those, there's only the now moment. They're all superimposed right now, one on top of the other. So if all of those versions of you are within you right now, you're already whole. You're already this infinite being. So it's this radical acceptance of yourself as perfect, this acceptance of everyone as perfect, which actually is beautiful because it gives other people the energetic space for them to show up perfectly. But then it allows all these other situations to simply begin to match the perfection that you are. So it's kind of dissolving this need to constantly judge things, whether it's judging my ego, or judging the external world, or judging people, right? And simply saying, okay, well, I am the perfection within all of this because this is my reality. I am the perfection within this. So everything is going to simply morph to meet that perfection.
Yeah. I love that. But I know for sure there are going to be people listening where it's like, it's not that easy, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, you've evolved to this point where you don't really battle with the ego, right?
Right.
But was there a journey where it was like a practicing, turning down that volume,
Absolutely. There was a long practicing of it, but I'll tell you, it clicked long before the voice went away.
Yeah.
And the click was simply that it's a choice. I can walk through life and I can make the choice to see things as perfect, or I can make the choice not to. Either way, it's a choice. And it's easy. Like in this moment when everything is cool, it's easy to say everything is good. Right? But when life is rough, okay, and I'll even be even a little bit more transparent, right? So what really kicked my ego to the curb is I'm going through this reality creation journey, and I was in a situation where I was going to be evicted. I was a month behind on rent. I owe like $7K. I was driving Uber at this time. I had no way to pay this. But I simply decided to say I had the rent. I simply went to that. I have it. It's paid in full. It's paid in full. I didn't know. I was trying to borrow the money. Nobody would give it to me. I was driving Uber. I couldn't make $7K. I had like 3 days. They had put the note on my door, had the court date and everything. Okay. So whenever I had went through this journey, I was always anxious. I was always, questioning, is this even the right path? But I simply went back to the truth that no, okay. God's gonna make a way. God is within me. It is paid in full. That became my dominant story. The day I was supposed to get kicked out, right? When I called, or when I actually checked online, because at that time when you have the payments at the apartment, they won't actually let you log in if you're overdue.
Yeah.
So I had to call customer service. So I saw when I logged in, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna be able to even see anything anyway. It was paid.
Wow.
It was paid. So I was like, okay, cool. Let me check. Let me make sure somebody's not playing with me, because my mind is blown.
Sure.
But when I called, they was like, yeah, it's paid. It's paid in full. I said, who paid it? It was paid earlier. We don't know who paid it. It's just paid. Okay, I can't see anything. I can't see a card. I can't say anything. I said, it's paid. So it was at that moment where I realized I have everything that I need, even if I do not see. Even if I don't see. The crazy thing is, even after that, I still didn't have any money. I was still broke as hell, right? Yeah. But it was this mindset shift that I don't have to see anything right now. Just simply know that I'm good, that everything is supporting me. So that really sent me down this journey of let me figure out what the hell I did, because I literally had my back against the wall at that moment, right? I knew I was going to be sleeping in my car.
Right.
I did not know where I was going to go, what I was going to do. So it was this all-in moment. And so I understand, right? It's not easy at those times. But if you can actually persist in the discipline, there tends to be this moment where something happens in your life that the ego just shuts down. It says, you know what? You've got this. Now, I still have doubts sometimes, but I know that even though I have those doubts, I have the choice if I want to actually buy into it and accept that that's the truth, or if I want to accept that whatever else I'm saying is the truth.
Yeah. So what you're saying is keep doing what I'm doing. Damn it.
Exactly.
No, I have a unbelievable amount of life experience practicing watching that and choosing something different, and have more recently than ever in my life started to really step into certainty, because that's what you're saying. Like, it's an absolute unwavering certainty. Like, I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's happening. I'm taken care of. I am whole. Like,
Yeah. So what if that certainty isn't unwavering? What if there's days you feel doubt? What if there's days you feel frustration?
I mean, so let's unpack that, because all that I have now is that I have to anchor back into that, right?
Right.
With like combating that voice that says, no, it's not going to happen. Who do you think you are? Blah, blah, blah. Right. And the only thing that I have is to anchor back into that. I'm not going to listen to that. That is not true. I am that I am. And I have everything that I need, and I don't need to figure out the how. But what would you say?
Well, I would say that battling your thoughts is going to be exhausting. And I would say battling those emotions are going to be exhausting. But then I would ask you, and I would say, if you believe that your beliefs create reality, which I know you do, then what is it that actually makes you think that you have to battle your thought? It's a belief that some thought that you don't want to create a reality that you don't want, right? So now you're simply battling your belief when you simply have to accept that I've already made the decision. It's done. if I have opposite thoughts, I can just remind myself, no, I've already made the decision. It is done. But
Mm-hmm.
the ego thoughts don't actually create. They're just there to protect you. They're not going to get on board till they see proof.
Mm-hmm.
So the ego is constantly going to be like, hey, you said you got this. I don't see it around, right?
Yeah.
Job. There's nothing wrong with that. To fight it would be fighting the thing that has kept you safe.
Mm-hmm.
You're not required to have perfect thoughts, to have perfect life.
Mm-hmm.
You're simply required to know what you want, to accept that, okay, right now I've made the choice that I am the source. I am the fulfillment. And this is what I choose. I choose that this is done. I choose that this is working out perfectly. And now I choose to see everything in my life as proof that it's working out perfectly. And if I have an opposite thought or opposite emotion, that's just part of my human experience. But I'm not going to give it power. Because I remember when I was trying to just sit and battle my thoughts, man, weeks go by, months go by, and it's like all I've been doing is battling thoughts for 3 months.
Yeah.
And how do I show up for other people? How do I actually enjoy my life? And if you actually had it, would you be battling your thoughts?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You'll be living your life.
Yeah.
Those thoughts came. Go ahead.
No, I'm just like, I'm wrapping my head around that, right? Because like I am just somebody who really lives up here. I mean, I've seen so many intuitive coaches and psychics and people who are like, girl, your energy up here is just, you know. And so you're saying that in that given moment when the mind is doing what the mind does, because it's gonna, right? Its job is to just simply not buy in. We're not even going to entertain. It's like, nope.
Yeah, it can do whatever, right? So let's reframe even that thoughts, right? Because sometimes we'll think that if we're trying to create something when our thoughts are running, because I used to consider myself an overthinker for sure, like big time. I don't think you get into this space. I don't think you get to the information that you have without being an overthinker, right? So it's about kind of reframing that. So I think that we can all get what we want, but to get what you want and actually hold it, I think the core is that radical acceptance of yourself. Right? So I know that right now you consider yourself to be a thinker, right? Which would mean that you consider yourself to be thoughtful. So if you met someone that you really cared about, right, you would study them. You would get to know them. You would show up for them in these beautiful ways because of your thoughtfulness. So that's a perfect part of you right then, right? But now when it comes to reality creation, we consider our quote unquote thoughtfulness, we translate it, we say, no, that's overthinking now. Right? And so now we're trying to combat that part of us instead of saying, no, this is still a perfect part of me. I am still perfect. Those thoughts are even perfect. I just don't choose that reality. And so it's just telling that gentler story. And because if you just try to fight it, it's just going to fight back harder.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to survive. The ego just wants to survive. It's looking out for you.
Right.
So you can just simply guide it and not buy into it and know that, look, it doesn't matter what I feel. It doesn't matter if I feel doubt, anxiety, fear, stress, worry. I am is above that anyway. I am awareness. God is above God's simply looking for who you are being to reflect that perfectly at you.
Yeah.
God just is. Awareness, spirit just is. It's above our fear. It's above our happiness, our praise, our bitterness towards it. So all of those parts of me that are overthinking or are feeling a certain way, it's just part of my human experience. It's just saying, it's just an alarm clock. Like, oh, this is how I used to think. This is what is keeping me safe. I don't have to allow that to be my story. So I just gently remind myself, no, I've already made the decision, and I'll let the thoughts do whatever. But I already know that whether it's in the midst of it or at the end, I just remind myself, nope, I've already made the decision.
Love that.
Yeah.
Well, I got a free little coaching session from you. Thank you.
I love this. So I love to do it.
No, I love it. I'm like enthralled. It's so good. And it's so simple. You hear all the teachers, the common theme is like, it is so much easier than you're making it. It is so much easier than you're making it. And I do absolutely believe, because I do feel like I'm on like the brink of this, like it becoming this simple thing, right? Because so much change has happened in my life and so many things are clicking. And I'm like, I'm on the precipice of this, like being this like simple shift, you know?
So
But
let me ask you a question before you finish that. Let me ask you a question then.
yeah.
When are you going to stop trying to manifest
Uh-huh.
and accept right now that you are the woman of your dreams?
I mean, right now.
Right
Yeah.
now. Right now. I mean, because that is the shift. You're not on the cusp of anything. That is the shift. It's just diving into that water and then telling the truth about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying though. It doesn't feel like it's fully clicked, because when you say it, I'm like, yeah, no, totally. And right. And that's the problem. The and.
Yeah. But that's just a feeling though, right? And you're buying into that feeling. Like that feeling, of course, it's just, well, you've been telling this story for so long. The feeling is like, I don't know, right? And the mind and the ego is like, well, we still got to protect you. But that's fine though.
Yeah.
That's fine. Just because you don't, if you only based having what you want or being who you want on your feelings, even if you had, you know what I'm saying, every single dollar that this world could print, probably still have down days. You know, with the love of our lives, right? We still have down days. So it's not about feelings, right? You can go outside and not get cut off in traffic and all of a sudden your day is down. So it's not about that. It's about accepting. It's simply when we stop trying to force ourselves and just accept that we are what we say we are.
Yeah.
It's getting beyond the trying.
It really is simply just like, I am identifying with the filler.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
All right. Well, it's clicked for me. So what's next for you on your path of service and expansion?
So I have ways that I'm simply just trying to expand how I can reach. And so it's been primarily content recently, but I want to do some, more personal workshops, like in-person workshops. I want to do that. But I'll just see where spirit leads me. I've had some different ideas on how to kind of expand the reach, but I'm really just enjoying the journey. Right now it's perfect. I didn't see myself here 2 years ago, so here I am, and it is perfect and it's beautiful. So I'm enjoying this journey and seeing what spirit puts in my heart.
I love it. I love it. I feel like I've learned so much in this 1 hour about, like, really, truly, it is about being present. Like, that's all there is.
It's all there is.
That's literally all there is.
It's all there is. You have everything right now, and you can decide. You simply decide you have everything right now. You do.
Yeah.
It's such a paradox, right? When you simply accept that right now you're everything you desire, now all of a sudden reality just conforms to you. Beautiful.
I love that. So where can we find you, Alexander? If people want to find you, or they want, coaching, or so, just share your social media and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Instagram, TikTok is at Alexander Dwayne. Dwayne is DEWAYNE. And on YouTube, it's the same, Alexander space Dwayne, right? So you can find me on any of those 3 platforms. I'm always open to work and open to help with anybody.
Love that. Thank you so much for your time. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, and I know a lot of people are going to get something out of this.
Absolutely. I appreciate you for having me so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. May the cord that binds us to one another and to spirit remind us that we are never alone, always guided, and always home. Thank you so much, Alexander. Until next time.